Hi everyone, Tracy here. I was going to scrapbook some fall pictures from last year. I've got a couple of things that I didn't get captured last fall, and I haven't taken many nice pictures yet this fall. And I've got this beautiful Scraptastic kit. It is the Never Tear Us Apart kit and the add-on from October. And so I was going to scrapbook some of these pictures, but then our city has a festival, a nighttime outdoor art festival called Nocturne every October. I don't get to go because I'm usually with the kids, but my husband goes and photographs some of the exhibits, and he came home with these beautiful photos of some of the exhibits. So this one is called Yoga in a Box, and I just love how he captured her kind of like deep in meditation. It's just beautiful, and the blue hue, I don't know what that came from, if she was under blue lights or what, but it's just really, really interesting. I love it. So I have those photos, and they're all portrait orientation. So I was going to kind of put them all together, kind of in a lineup of kind of some of the exhibits. And then this one he called Arrivals and Departures, and the reason he called it that is that, well, Pier 21 is the famous pier that a lot of people, when they immigrated to Canada, came through Pier 21. It has a lot of history, and a lot of people all over the country come back to Pier 21 to just visit the place where their relatives landed in Canada. And so it's a very significant place in our city. And also, it's, so, you know, arrivals and departures. It's more arrivals than departures at Pier 21. But also, this streak of lines was a bus going by, and so it's kind of, he thought that those two things contrasted. But even more interestingly, off to the side here, which I don't know if it's, I don't think it's in the picture, there was an exhibit called Arrivals and Departures, and he took the picture from that exhibit. So he just kind of noticed that the name of the exhibit was Arrivals and Departures, and then he thought it was interesting that it was at Pier 21 and that there was a bus going by, so he took that photo. So that's the story behind the photos. I'm going to scrapbook them using this kit, and we'll see how it goes. I don't really have any idea of how it's going to go, so I guess we'll just see. So here I am just looking through the kit. I'm going to take the embellishments out of the way. I'm not going to use too many embellishments on this page. I'm looking for some papers that don't actually have too much color in them, so I'm going to pull out the Blackbird kit. The first kit was the Never Tear Us Apart, which is the one of the October kits, and then I also got the Blackbird add-on. And so there's all kinds of glitter all over the place because one of the papers in the Blackbird set had glitter on it, so I just used my Rubbermaid little tabletop broom that I used to kind of sweep off glitter. It does a good job of getting rid of glitter, although there's still glitter all over the place. This is my Creative Memories little tiny trimmer. I use it for trimming photos, and I love it because it's so tiny. And it's great for doing Project Life, where you've got lots of tiny little pictures to trim. Just playing around with the order that I'm going to put these photos in, I've picked out this gray piece of cardstock from the Blackbird add-on, and I also picked out this paper from the Blackbird add-on. It is Cartabella paper from the Happy Haunting collection, and I'm just using a bit of tape to adhere these because I'm going to fiddle with them a little bit, I suspect, and I end up being right about that. And so here I have them pretty much laid out the way I want them, and then I notice a little mark that won't come off right kind of by her nose. And so I just went over to my computer and reprinted that photo. And while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to get rid of some more of that glitter. I'm picking out that washi tape, that gray washi tape with the triangle mosaic on it, and that is from the Project Life kit, or from the This Life Noted kit from Scraptastic this month. And this is my new trimmer. It is a Caterpillar, and this is my first time using it in a project. I have used it before, and you'll have to excuse my head. It's a trimmer that you really need to be over it to see. And now, for some reason, I printed it exactly the same, but it printed a little bit bigger the second time, and so I just had to trim it down a little bit more. I cut that out. When I framed that those photos on that Cartabello paper, I just left a bit at the bottom because I thought I might want to do some journaling, and if I change my mind about that, I can always trim it off. So now I'm looking through the pattern papers that came in the Never Tear Us Apart kit, and I love that gray diagonal and I love that blue dotted paper, and so those are the two I'm going to keep out. I also really like the camera paper, and I thought about cutting out a camera to use as an embellishment, but I didn't end up doing that. I think one of my edges was crooked here, so I checked it on my mat and then I did just trim it off a little bit off screen. And now I'm going to layer this whole thing over a piece of the gray and white diagonal striped paper, and that is from the Fancy Pants collection, and it was in the kit. I am cutting a thin strip that I'm then going to hand cut in half and put a little bit above and a little bit below my layout, and I just put some washi tape so it overhung a little bit so it wasn't quite as wide as a piece of washi tape on the bottom. Now I'm going to do the same on the top, but I'm going to end up putting it on a little bit too wide. I wanted it quite a bit more narrow on the top, just to give the bottom more weight. And so, excuse my head again. And so there's just a tiny bit of it showing on the top. And then once I put my strip there, there will be even less of that washi tape showing, but you will be able to see that it's there. So. And now I'm putting the little strip on the bottom. I'm just using my tiny attacher to staple that little strip in place. And now I'm looking at my layering paper, and I have this silver waffle paper. This is from Stampin' Up, and it's a very textured, very thin, it's almost like tissue paper, and it comes on a roll, as you see. I'm also having a look at what other layering papers I have. I just keep anything that's thin or crinkly or glittery or vellumy in that tray, and I just keep it in one of my Jetmax cubes. So just kind of crinkling up the edges, making it look interesting, a little bit less like it just got rolled off the roll. And this red vellum with stars on it is something I just picked up. I have a little stationery store. It's just an independent shop that sells gifts and journals, and there's some handmade paper in the shop, and I go in every once in a while and stock up on handmade paper. It's not handmade paper. There's some handmade papers and then some stuff like that, just like unique printed papers, mostly it's all 8.5 by 11. It's not really scrapbooking paper. I don't know what it's for stationery or card makers or what. So I use my Stampin' Up! 3-heart punch to punch some hearts that I'm eventually going to use somewhere else. And then I also use my Stampin' Up! Scallop border to put a little border that I just want a touch of color that's going to pick up on the reds and oranges that are in the photo. And now I grabbed some letter stickers from my stash, so I'm not going to use the letters from the kit for this title because I just really wanted to use, I knew I had these silver foil letter stickers in my stash, and I really wanted to use them on this layout. So I pulled them out. They're called the Cinnamon is the font name, and they're thickers. And I also pulled out some letter stickers from last month's kit, but I'm not going to use them. Instead, I'm going to use these little letterbox letters. Is that what they're called? I'm going to use those little letters on the little squares, and they came in the Blackbird kit, and they're from Glitz. They're really cute. So I spelled out art at night. I actually spelled out art a night because I'm going to circle, my plan is to circle that A and make it into an at sign, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to change my mind and do something else. Here I'm trying to punch a heart out of out of this transparency, which is just too darn thick for a punch, and I didn't want to break my punch. So I hand cut a circle, which wasn't very circly, and it wasn't going to work anyways, so I didn't like that idea of mounting that subtitle on a piece of vellum anyways, or a piece of transparency. So I'm putting away my letter stickers now that I've got my letters written. I don't know exactly where they're going to go yet, but I know I'm done spelling for now. And now I'm just thinking about what I can put this subtitle on and looking at some of the stickers that came in the Never Tear Us Apart kit. Can't quite decide which side I'm going to put my title on and whether I'm going to put my title along with the subtitle or if I'm going to break them up like they are here. I am going to end up breaking them up. So I'm kind of just looking around, looking for stamps, looking for anything that I can mount that subtitle on. And then I remembered having these basic gray banner wood veneers. And so I decided that that wood veneer banner, and these things are just from my stash, all the wood veneers, except the mason jar wood veneer was from the kit. While I was at it, I saw those gray triangles from Freckled Fawn, and they're made out of resin, and I thought they might look good with the layout. I'm not going to end up using them, but I pulled them out just in case. Still haven't decided on my title placement. This is a Stampin' Up! Stampin' Right marker, and I'm just going to color in the ampersand, not ampersand, the @ sign here with that basic black. And what I'm doing here, you can't quite see it, is I'm just also lining the edges just so that you don't see the brown showing through anywhere. Sorry that that happened off screen. And it looks like I forgot to zoom out, but I am placing the letter stickers on the wood veneer, and now I'm taking some little tiny heart, or not hearts, but stars, and I'm going to put them inside the jar. I wanted the mason jar to look like it was kind of holding fireflies, because kind of going with the night theme, but I don't really know how to make fireflies, so I decided to go with stars, and those stars will represent fireflies. There's also fire in one of the pictures, so I thought that kind of went well. So that's what I'm going to end up doing for my title, and well, for the subtitle. And so now I'm just going to use my glossy accents to attach that @ symbol. I'm going to let that dry for a little bit. And now I'm going to color in these stars with another Stampin' Right marker from Stampin' Up! This is in Daffodil Delight, which is just their yellow color. And now I am getting my stickles, and I really like the yellow stickles. I just kind of checked my little stickles reference that shows me what the stickles look like when they're dried. And so I'm just, basically I'm kind of like just dotting the stickles onto the little stars, getting them all covered in the stickles. And now I'm going to let those dry, putting my stickles away. And put those aside to dry, and I think I'm going to start gluing things down now. Yep. Had to trim up that piece because it was a little lopsided there, and yeah, that didn't work. I had to turn it over to glue the other side. Now I'm going to have these letters sit on the ledge of one of the pieces of paper. And I don't need the colon because I'm not going to be putting the subtitle right there. I stamped, that's a Scraptastic stamp that came in, it didn't come in, but it's a Blackbird. It coordinates with the Blackbird kit this month. And now I'm going to stickle these. When they dried, it dried looking green, just like the yellow over top of the black ended up having a bit of a green look to it. But it's okay. I might go over it again just to get it more yellowy looking. I think just another coat and the yellow will pop out. So what I'm doing here is you can't quite tell because I'm off screen, sorry about that, is I'm stapling the letters here, and that's what it looks like close up. So I just use my tiny attacher to just staple those to the page. It was kind of for design and kind of just for laziness. The letters weren't sticking all that well, so I thought I'd just staple them down and then it would have kind of more interest. Not sure what I'm doing here, guys, sorry. Oh, I know what I'm doing. I just went to look up the names of these photos because I threw away the little pieces of paper that had the names on them. So I am just labeling them with my pen. And any minute now I'm going to realize that I left my camera zoomed in. There you go. So I really like that subtitle on the basic gray banner. That looks awesome. I really enjoy using those basic gray banners. For some reason I've had them in my stash and just haven't used them, the wood veneers. And so I took a bit of twine from the Never Tear Us Apart kit and wrapped it around the wood veneer mason jar that also came in the kit. And then I just frayed the edges. I'm going to trim them down a little bit. They're a little bit too long. And now I'm just hand cutting a little strip from the overhead transparency. And I'm going to have that be a background for this cluster of embellishments. Thought about using a tag, but I don't really like the color scheme of any of them. I don't want to add any extra color here. I just want a couple pops of red that I'm going to put on at the end. So this is a piece of paper it's from Fancy Pants Collecting Moments collection, and it came in the Never Tear Us Apart kit. I cut it into a long thin banner and I'm going to outline it. Not sure why I started mid-line there, but anyways, something different. So I'm going to layer that blue polka dot banner over top of the overhead transparency. Now those little stars are dry, so I'm going to put them in this mason jar and make them look like they're sort of floating around, 2 in the bottom and 1 floated up to the top. I went a little bit overboard on the glue. One of my pet peeves is when your glossy accents show like that, because they do show when they dry if you put too much on. But it's said and done, right? So there's nothing I can really do about the glue gobs, except just be careful not to do it next time. There is another mason jar wood veneer that came in the kit, but I really want to use it for something else, so I didn't want to just go back and use the other one. When I make my banners, I often will use ATG adhesive in the middle and then put a little dimensional adhesive on either end just to have it have a bit more of dimension. And now I had to use foam dots on the banner subtitle so that the mason jar could fit underneath of it. And I had to use even the thinner dimensionals on the mason jar itself because the string wrapped around it creates some dimension, so I needed to kind of match that so it would lay flat. So now I want to use these wood veneers. I'm not going to use the punched heart there, but what you can't see me doing there is I'm coloring in the first wood veneer. I think I'm going to move my paper so you can see what I'm doing in a second. There you go. And when you color using these brush tip markers, you just want to color on an angle, so you don't want to go directly perpendicular. You want to kind of just rub the marker onto the wood veneer so you don't ruin the brush tip. And I'm just putting them in as an angle so they're clustered around the mason jar and the banner subtitle. And now I'm just adding this little scallop that I punched a while ago. Oh, a little bit too close to the moon there. Now I'm going to trim off the top. And that just adds a pop of red at the top to balance off the pop of red that's in the bottom corner there. And I really should have strung this through before. But here I am just kind of putting it through at the end, so it worked. I just had to kind of peel it back a little bit so that I had the space. Now I'm just testing out how different markers work on this waffle paper. I've never written on waffle paper before, and so the Slick Writer ended up being the best. I think the Stettler Lumo color would have been fine, but mine is running out, so it was coming out very faint. So the Slick Writer by American Crafts is a good pen for using on any surfaces where your marker might rub off. And so I'm just journaling a little bit. It's a bit of a challenge to journal an event that you didn't actually attend. I do this a lot because I do scrapbook a lot of Scott's pictures that he takes when he's out on photo walks and stuff. So it's pretty generic journaling, really. It's not the best writing, storytelling, or anything. So I'm just putting a bit of adhesive on that heart so I can add it to the O and just add a third little splash of color. So there you get to see that those stickles dry with quite a bit of a green tinge to them, but I think that if I put just a second coat of stickles on them, they'll look yellow again. So I'll do that, and when you see my month review video called Out with the Old, you'll probably see them with another coat. So there's the title. I really like this, the additional detail that the staples make with the tiny attacher, and that's really the little cluster is about all the embellishment that I did was just a tiny little cluster around the subtitle. So here are the photos. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I hope you all have a wonderful scrappy week.